Before we start, I would like to thank everyone for the engagement from the last episodes. It's been super, super good. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Nicole, welcome to our podcast today.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Yes, thanks. We actually have a longer relationship than what we are here for.
You've
been my teacher for 1 year in IB, in my second year, marketing specialization. So that has been definitely something that I enjoyed, and it's a pleasure to have you here on the podcast today. So for anyone that doesn't know you yet, what could you say a little bit about yourself? How do you present yourself to the world today?
Yeah, so I think, in this context, first and foremost, I'm a businesswoman. I am the co-owner of the Speech Republic. Just recently joined the team here in January, but I've known them for a long time.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's really exciting to be in the space, and I'm doing my favorite thing, which is learning a lot. So that makes me happiest. I'm also a former lecturer, as you know. That's where we first met.
Yes.
I'm a mom to 2 wonderful kids and a wife to a Dutch husband, which is why we're in the Netherlands. But I'm also an avid reader and the owner of a little Maltipoo puppy. And someone who really loves hearing stories and then learning the art of telling stories.
Absolutely. And that's exactly why we're here today, looking a bit into storytelling, into your story as well. But before we start, could you tell a little bit about yourself? We have this little segment where we're like, what are some things that people don't know about you that wouldn't think of when they see you? 1, 2, 3 things.
Sure. Well, the first one's a little embarrassing. So my nickname growing up was Sausage Girl.
Okay. Any reason for that?
Sure. Actually, to be fair, my father was an immigrant from Poland to the U.S. and he owned a small stand at a market where he smoked and made his own Polish sausage. And during holidays, which busy times at the market, I'd be pulled out of school and I would sell sausage to the crowds at Easter, the Broadway market.
Okay.
So my friends in high school knew that I was pulled out of school and they called me Sausage Girl because of that. I think another fun fact that people wouldn't know, but seems to sort of ignite something in the hearts and minds of Europeans, is that I was actually our university's homecoming queen.
Oh, wow.
So in the U.S., this is such a big deal. But I think here everyone has a stereotypical image of the American cheerleader as homecoming queen. I was never a cheerleader. I'm not at all athletic, but I did wear the sash for 1 year.
Okay.
And the third fun fact is maybe, I don't stand on ceremony a lot. So when my husband and I got married, we did it in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. And we actually had an Elvis impersonator at our wedding. And he sang us down the aisle to It's Now or Never.
Wow.
Yes, it really cut the tension in the room. The entire crowd was laughing, which is exactly what we wanted.
I can imagine. What was the crowd for that? Because it's usually Vegas has small weddings.
Yeah, well, we just flew in family. It was immediate family, 18 people, just my family from Buffalo in Poland and Jasper's family from the Netherlands. But it wasn't a drive-through. We actually had planned it. So there was a little thought put into it.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, but
usually in Vegas you have that. You have people just getting married on a whim. So
it was not a whim, no.
Okay.
Considered
great.
decision, yes.
Okay, so let's start a little bit with your career.
Yeah.
You've been in finance, you've been in academia, and also in big companies such as Booking and Walmart.
Yeah.
What did each of these environments teach you that the others maybe couldn't, or what are some things that you pulled from each one of them?
Yeah, I think to some degree it's more like what parts of yourself get elevated in each job that you're in. Because when I look back and I think about it, each job leveraged a different skill set or pulled something different out of me. Mm-hmm. As a starter, finance, I worked as an auditor at Ernst & Young, and then I worked for a hedge fund, and then I worked in private equity. The truth is I never really liked finance. I didn't like it at university. I didn't like it when I was doing it. But there was, the cachet of working in private equity, of working in hedge funds in Manhattan. The salary was nice. And what it showed me is that it might sound good on paper, but if it's not resonating with your heart, it's probably not a job you're ever going to be great at. I really wish I loved finance, because then you could make a lot of money and then you have a great job and you love what you do. But ultimately, it didn't really resonate. And I don't think you can be great at a job that doesn't resonate with your heart. So it was a nice experience to have. It opens a lot of doors because those names on a resume look really good, but it wasn't connected with what I wanted to do.
Okay.
Then I went to Walmart to work in marketing. And Walmart taught me a lot about working in a company with a really strong culture. Like that had the strongest culture I'd ever worked in. And it's fascinating because it also had the largest number of employees. There were over 2 million employees at Walmart. And that's actually my first contact with like storytelling as a means of transferring culture across an organization. And I thought that was, I didn't know it at the time. I think I identified it later when I started teaching storytelling.
Okay.
But that was the first place I really saw that in play. But, you know, especially in marketing, when at that time, you didn't always have a lot of hard data behind ROI. And, you know, in some cases, advertising will never give you a great ROI. And when you're trying to make a pitch for money in the company, usually the best story won the pitch.
Yeah.
So that's how marketing worked. And I found out that I really liked retail. So it brought forth like a different interest of mine in that space. When I went to go work for Booking.com, I learned what it meant to really run an agile product team. So at that point, I'd worked at Walmart.com. I'd worked in some tech companies, and everyone said product teams and networking agile. And there were all these words that we used. And then I went to Booking.com, where they actually probably were the masters of it. And I was like, oh, this is actually what it means. Also, I'm not that interested in it, but I actually know what it means now.
Okay.
And that was another, like, it pulled out another part of me. Like, as long as I was learning, I was fine. But in that one, I wasn't perfectly aligned with the mission of the company. And so after a career of like 15 years in business, I decided to switch over. And then I went into teaching. And what that elevated in me was my entertainer personality. So I think one of the reasons I really enjoyed teaching and the students enjoyed me is I have a natural sort of flair for entertainment. I am a storyteller. I do like being on stage. And that works really well when you're trying to deliver lectures about marketing.
And you've been the prom queen.
And I was, the homecoming queen. Yes, the homecoming queen.
Yeah.
So I would say that if you look back, it's like every job will give you clues to maybe who you are, what you like, what you don't like. And your job, if you don't get lucky enough to land in the first job that really ties in with what you love, is to pay attention to those clues to try and craft a career that works for you.
Okay. So then how long would you think, now that you've been through all of these industries, how long do you follow your heart until you find something that lands? Is this something that you have to keep searching at the start of your career? Is it something that you just sort of craft along the way until you get a bit older and more wise in terms of what your roles should be like? What's your opinion on this?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I have to be honest. I had a friend at university who knew from day one that she wanted to be a dentist. And so she knew this in high school, university, she did all of her 4 years and then 4 years of dental school. Like, she wanted to be a dentist. And I envy the clarity that she had from the beginning. And now she has an incredibly successful practice in New Jersey.
Okay.
I didn't have that. I was carrying a bit of the burden of immigrant parents who wanted me to have a very secure job. And my God, when I told them I'd be an accountant, they were so proud. Like, our girl will never not have a job because nobody wants to be an accountant. Well, That's not true. Some people love accounting, but they were just happy that it was secure. And so I think I took on a little bit of their expectations for myself when I picked that first job without checking what I wanted to do.
Okay.
And actually, when I think back now, at some point, my father actually raised a comment. He said, Nicole, maybe you should go into journalism, like broadcast journalism. Like, he already had seen glimmers that communication was sort of the thing that I was really good at, but I wasn't really listening to it yet. And I also wanted to make my mother proud, and she was very big on the safety, so I followed her path. What I want to say is there won't be an answer for you. You may be like my friend Tracy, who is a dentist. You may have to search a little bit. Both paths are fine.
Yeah.
I think maybe if you are okay with realizing that every job is an experiment to see if you like it or don't like it, or to figure out what you do or don't like it, you basically agile test your way into a career that works for you. Like, this is what Booking would have done. They would have tested it to see if it worked, and if it worked, they would have done more of it.
Yeah.
So I think you'll be getting signals. Even now at university, you're probably getting signals on, like, oh, I find this interesting. Oh, this I don't like so much. This topic, I happily read articles about this. Whoa, I don't want to hear about that. This is all data coming in that if you reflect on it, will start sort of nudging you in different directions.
Exactly. And this is exactly why I was asking this, because I feel like there are a lot of instances where people get out of university, especially with a degree like ours, in international business, where they're not exactly convinced of what they want to do.
Yeah.
So this, I think, is going to be powerful for them. So still being on the career side, what would you say were some transferable skills that went through all of these industries that you've been in? You've been in finance, you've been in accounting as well, marketing and academia. So what are some things that you think are super important for people to have, that actually whenever you switch some of these industries, you want to do something new, you're looking for your path, they could help them?
Yeah, I think it's maybe the realization that in every company or organization you join, there is a culture and a way things are done that you need to learn and adjust to very quickly in order to make an impact.
Okay.
And there are different companies will have different ways of doing it. Some have to do with how do you get budget, some have to do with who you have to convince as stakeholders. Figuring out what works in that company, how people get things done, I think is the key to unlocking success. Because promotions go to people who get things done.
Yeah.
The senior leaders at organizations are the ones that got things done.
And people who are visible when they get these things done.
You know, I would say the visibility is important to some degree, but do not mistake visibility without getting things done for being enough. Because I have seen instances in my career of where somebody was very visible, but it was all fluff.
Okay.
And it worked for a little while. But like now, as I look back 20 years, like the people that I see at the most senior levels who have gone on to be senior VPs and C-level executives, they were the ones that were getting stuff done.
Okay.
And the visibility comes with it. Usually if you have a good boss, there is some, we talk about it a lot. And I think it's because people probably who are really like, who are the workers and the doers keep their head down and just try and do a good job. And there is a balance of like sharing what you've done. But it also has to be in service of something larger. So I can tell you what do you ever look in the LinkedIn feeds?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I have
every day.
Every day, right? What kind of information are you getting in these LinkedIn feeds in general?
Yeah, it's either a lot of things that are more on the social side. So you're looking for trying to tell a story about your work, about something that you've done.
Yeah.
Or is it just pure achievements or new things that people are doing, new company, new role, something like that?
Yeah, so it's a lot about what I've done or what my new job is. Me.
Yeah.
I think the most valuable LinkedIn posts that I've seen are the ones that give a gift to your audience. It's something we teach here as well. The idea that when you're communicating with people and you have the gift of their attention, your job is to leave them something valuable.
Absolutely.
Not talk about yourself. So anything that is I'm so proud that I just passed this exam. It's like, it is an achievement, right? But I wouldn't hire you for that.
Yeah.
I would hire you if you told me, I just read this fascinating statistic about B2B businesses and how actually podcasts at universities are the best way to get the name out about your business. Here are the stats. Like, would you like to meet with us to talk about a podcast? Because that has value to me. And I see in my LinkedIn network, there's a great student, Kaylee. I remember, I think she was in my storytelling class. Her posts, she is on point. Every post about hers has to do with B2B businesses, how they can drive more sales through using content. Every post is a gift to me as a reader. So I think in general, if you switch your mindset from me to what gift can I give people, what value am I adding, that will go farther in your career because people will see that.
Yeah. And it's getting noticed with time probably as well.
Yeah, it's good leaders. Like if you imagine you're you're a senior manager and you're growing your career and you've got a team of people and half the people are doing a ton of great work that like then lets you look better. And the other half are sort of just biding their time or doe maar gewoon, that is goed genoeg, which is my least favorite expression in Dutch. So just being normal. Like as you grow, as you switch companies, who would you choose to take with you to the new company? Right? That's maybe a way to look at it. Like if I were to leave, who are the people I would want to take with me to the new company? And you should ask yourself, if my boss were to leave, would they want to take me to the new company? This only applies to good bosses. If you have a bad boss, your job is to get out from underneath this person and into someone else's team as soon as possible, because sometimes that is beyond your control.
Yep.
Sometimes you join a company and you just happen to be assigned a boss who's not great. Then understand corporate structure and move yourself to a team where you have a better boss, because that is important.
Absolutely.
But if it's someone you really like, you admire and they work hard, your question is, how do I make sure that if they left, they would want to take me with them?
Wow. That's great advice, I would say. At the start of this, you mentioned, at the start of this answer, you mentioned the fact that you have, you're trying to figure out how to get yourself noticed, how to get things done, how companies run specifically in that company. What should I look for whenever I'm going to be in a company? Do you understand?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do we do this?
I understand it as a concept, but I would like to
Yeah.
see if there are any steps or there are any things to look for to understand better how companies run, so then I can use it for,
Yeah. You know, to be honest, I think maybe the awareness of it is the first step. Like most people probably come with an assumption that this will work how I've always worked. Like you've been students, like you've been working hard, like you've got your grades, like you're also at the end of a really long education journey. So you feel a lot like I'm on top of the world and I know a lot. Like I just spent a lot of money on this master's degree. Like I'm going in there. I've got the answers, right?
Yeah.
But then you're going to a totally different ecosystem. And I think observation and awareness are the two things. Know that decisions are not made the way teachers taught you they are made in school. They will be made in a slightly different way.
Yep.
There will always be a power balance at companies, and it might not be said that way, but you have to feel your way into it. See whose projects are being pushed forward. And I've actually found that just dropping in on people and asking them how things happen, they are incredibly open. I think actually one of the worst things that's happening to your generation right now is this working from home idea. So most of my learning, at least half of what I learned, I remember specifically at Walmart, came from just dropping into people's offices and saying like, hey, I have this problem I'm trying to solve. How would you solve this? Or like, I'm thinking about this. What would you do with this? And learning through these conversations. And it's not the same as like, could I have a Teams call for 10 minutes with you? That's very different, right?
Yeah.
These were casual, they were coffee conversations, but it built a relationship with people. And then you can, that is how I like absorbed a lot of information. And I think now with people working from home, you really miss the chance to do that. So, and as much as you have a choice, I would always value going to the office because of this extra, the 10, 20% of your time where like at home, maybe you'd be changing the laundry. Here you'll be wandering around the office looking for somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
And I think that's really valuable. And that's how you'll sort of figure it out. But just be aware that it's in play and it might be different than what you think, or how it might even be different than what people are saying. How people are saying decisions are made. There's something possibly underneath, and it varies by company.
Okay. So can you give some examples of these things, of how companies work from your experience? Or is that something very specific to companies that it's not appropriate for this?
No, it's like, it depends on where the level of power resides. At Booking, what I found was really interesting is Booking left a lot of decision down to individual product teams. So they really empowered their teams. It was the first time where like in a team of 5, you could conceive up an idea and execute it on the website like in a very short period of time, so long as your data supported your decisions and you were tracking it, and you had a valid business reason and you didn't need to go seek approval from somebody. Like that was the most push down power I'd ever seen, which allowed Booking to operate in a really fast and agile way. It was incredible. There are other companies where I've worked at where in order to get, most projects come down to the need for money. So there's a fight for resources.
Yep.
And you'd have to do a specific PowerPoint presentation. And then once a week you'd go and you'd present to the management team and you would hope to convince them. And they might have some follow-up questions. And the next week you'd come back and answer the questions, but things had kind of moved on from then. So you were always trying to figure out, like, how do I get the yes in one meeting? And it wasn't very clear how you could do that. But if you told a really good story in that environment and people believed in it with their hearts, the chances of getting money were much higher. And like, we are emotional and rational human beings. We would say we make our decisions based on rationality, but it's proven that we use both and maybe a little more slight towards emotionality.
Absolutely. And I've seen it in all of my environments as well, whether that was internships or at university level as well.
Have you run into this problem though, or does it reflect in what I've said to you? Like, have you seen how decisions are made differently at your internships or?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I used to work in a big FMCG company.
Yeah.
And we had half of our team in Amsterdam and half of the team in London. Mm-hmm. And all of the higher ups were in London from the team. So then it was a little bit of a disparity between what we're trying to do here, what they have in mind there. It was more difficult to communicate.
Yeah.
And also because of that, the 1 hour team meeting per week was not enough.
Yeah.
Definitely. So there were some delays and disparities because of that.
Yeah. So what if you'd wanted to grow your career in that company? What do you think you would have done?
Oh, probably either move to London for this specific team, but maybe also switch teams to something that was local.
Yeah.
Look for another department that was purely in Amsterdam, so then the team cohesion would be much higher.
Yeah. So you already know, like that's exactly, it's like that awareness, and then like, you know, it's you can try and fight the system, or you can just understand that there is one and adapt yourself accordingly.
Absolutely.
And I think maybe that adaptability, if you're really interested in driving a career, is the most important part. Like figure out where the locus of power sits, and then you want to sort of get closer to it, which is exactly what you've done if you've gone to London.
Yes, as a one person, I think it's much easier to adapt rather than try to start a revolution and change the way that things are being done. So even though you can do little things to change these things, but yeah, better to adapt, I would say. So we've talked a little bit about storytelling up until now, and you've already told a lot of stories about your career. How do you think, when did you find out that storytelling is a powerful business tool rather than just something that's merely a soft skill to put on your CV?
Yeah, it's. I think what was most interesting, to be honest, the concept of it came to me when someone came to me and said, "Hey, our storytelling teacher for the master's class is left. Would you like to teach this class?" And I said, "Sure, I'd love to." But the concept of being a good storyteller is a skill that you could learn. I don't think I was convinced of that until I got into the field and started learning and reading about it, and my skills improved. And then I began to go back and identify, like, oh, wow, this worked in the past because we told a story here. Like, wow, look how this. So when I thought back, I'm like, look at what I remember from my time in corporate. I don't remember all of our strategies, but I remember the stories I was told. Like, this is really powerful because 20 years ago I heard this story and I still remember it.
And I can attest to that as well with our classes in my second year of IB, because a lot of the things were about stories that were incorporated in marketing. So I can already see it as well. Yeah,
so I think even before, it's the stories of business that fascinate me, right? I think as humans, we like to answer problems, and a well-told story has a problem and a resolution. So we're sort of hardwired for them. Business wouldn't be business if you weren't solving problems every single day. So we're naturally, like, the environment is already queued up for stories. It's just going back and mining them and figuring out what you want. And I think when I realized I loved it, and I think it's a tip for people in general, is I tell you to look for the signals that tell you like what could be interesting. I was given a set of PowerPoint slides that had a lot of pictures on them, not a lot of text, and I had to like sort of reverse engineer what we were trying to do.
Yeah.
And I read my first book on storytelling, and I was like, oh my God, this is so amazing. Then I read a second book on storytelling. I'm like, this is fascinating. I would lose myself in the process of creating slides for my class because I just found it all infinitely interesting. And every semester I'd go back and redo my slides. And again with, we could teach it this way or we could do it this way. That to me, maybe one of the best signals of like that you're in a space that's going to make you happy is when time flies as you're sitting in that space and doing something. It doesn't feel like work. You leave it energized. And I think going back, that any time that I've done that in my career and I felt like, wow, where did the time go? I should have been paying attention, because that's a strong sign that that's something like that is your happy place.
Yeah, you're entering a flow state. And
thank you, yes.
It's very difficult to get out of it when you're like that. I've been there only a few times yet.
Are you there now?
I am a little bit now as well. Okay,
maybe this is your future career.
Perhaps. I do remember a few years ago, we were trying to build some designs for some clients when I had a marketing agency with my friend and associate. And I think we spent 10, 12 hours just on our laptops, on a call, doing this. And I did not need anything. I didn't need food. I didn't need anything. I was just zoned in.
Yeah.
That's one of the best
It's a
feelings
great feeling,
in the world, I
right?
would
Yeah.
say.
And in a perfect world, you can align your flow state with making money.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that's the case for everybody, right? But if the closer you can get to that, I think the happier you'll be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're talking about this, and storytelling is your passion, and I can hear that you're very passionate about it. How would you regard it, and what's the importance that's left in storytelling in the age of AI, where you can build stories and you can have something just in 30 seconds from a
Can you?
large language model, supposedly?
Can you build a story? So our entry point for stories is that they are uniquely personal and they are authentic. They have to come from inside of you. So there will never be an AI that will tell a story as well as a human's lived experience tells a story when it comes from the heart, because it's not about the perfect words. It's not about like saying it in the perfect tone or saying it in the perfect way. It's about something that comes from inside of you that you share with the world based on your own experience that you've maybe reflected on, that offers like this gift to the audience that's listening to you.
Yeah.
AI can't do that for you. I mean, and it is a fair warning to everybody. Like, I would be so careful using AI to write your cover letters because, gosh, I know it's easy. And gosh, do all those letters sound the same? And hiring managers see this, they know it is. I would rather take an imperfectly written cover letter that sounds genuine and authentic, that comes from your own story, over a perfectly produced, professional sounding, corporate wrapper letter any day, because I think that'll be the margin. And we see it too when people in presentations, like, there's really a fear of sharing personal stories for some reason. And I don't know, this mantle, I also wear this, I call it my corporate speak. When I put on my corporate coat, and now I'm professional, Nicole. And now like my personality is reduced to this, like I am professional, I am accountant, I am, like this thing. And I think when that happens, like, first of all, we lose the like width of your personality. We don't see who you are anymore. And that seeing who you are is so important for people to connect with you, to want to work with you.
Yeah.
Like, and you can even go to extremes with that. So I'll give you an example in class. God bless, I like my students a lot, right?
I do.
But, we have two teachers in our program. We have Marcel and we have me. Marcel, a consultant's consultant. Marcel on day one knows every single student's name in his class. Marcel has conversations, he gets to know people personally, and by day one, Marcel will know your name. In week 8, I still don't know my students' names. I don't know them. And I told them this, like, I told them honestly, I was laughing with them. I'm like, yeah, Marcel knows all your name. Like at the final exam, I'm like asking, what's your name? And it's not that I don't care about their names. I do care about giving them the best class. I don't really care what their name is. And it sounds like a very callous comment. But when I shared it with my students, they laughed. And there's an authenticity behind it where they don't hold it against me. Like, I do care about the students. I do. If they come to me with a question, if they want to improve their storytelling skills, like, I will bend over backwards to help them, and they feel that. Am I going to know your name? Probably not. Does it matter? No. Like, that's sort of who I am, right? I could pretend, and then you feel that pretense, right?
Yeah.
But you can deliver bad news or, unpleasant news in an authentic manner. And if you're just yourself, people are okay with it. I'm always surprised about that. This is to me, Marcel and I are polar opposites. Both good teachers, like, we get the feedback that people enjoy our classes, but we do it very different ways. And both ways are okay. Marcel is being himself and I am being myself.
Exactly.
And you guys get an authentic experience. And that authenticity is what people connect to.
And I feel like part of this is also the fact that you're connecting with people by being authentic, even though that's bad news, let's say.
Yeah, I think we want to hide the parts of ourselves that aren't so great. We're told that, like, oh, I should know everyone's names. Yeah, I probably should, right? That's what, like, Dale Carnegie, all these guys, like, people love hearing the sound of their own name. Yep. That's true. But it's authentic to me that, like, I'm not really great at remembering names, but it speaks nothing about my caring for my students' education or how much I delight in sharing this knowledge. Like, that's all really authentic to me. So just because that particular imperfection exists, we can laugh at it and play with it in an authentic way. more so than me pretending that I'm really good at it. And I've tried, God knows, I've given people name tags, like I really do my best. It's just not where I choose to spend my attention. Yeah, I mean, the truth is, like, look, you can probably compress yourself into a box to fit into a corporate mold, but then are you going to be happy? I could probably fool you into hiring me as an accountant because I sound really good at interviews.
Yeah.
But you're not going to be happy, and I'm not going to be happy. So I think there's an element of letting your personality shine through while being professional, because there's a limit. Like it's not that the you do bring your whole self to work, but you don't have to share everything about yourself, because you wouldn't do it with anyone when it's not your therapy session at work.
Yeah.
But when you bring your whole self and it's a match that feels really good to people, and you'll know. But when you're trying to become what you think they want you to be, I think you'll eventually run into maybe a crisis of self eventually, from what I've seen.
Yeah, you will eventually just portray it, maybe even unconsciously, that it's not authentic.
Yeah.
So people will see that, because it's something about a pattern that you see. This is not.
Yeah, and I think I think the problem is, though, like that doesn't necessarily preclude you from being successful in business, right?
Yeah.
Lots of people will be successful by portraying success, but what we spend time teaching people is, how do you undo this, and how do you become a real human on stage? Because that's how people connect, and that's when people want to follow you, when they feel connected to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm going to go a bit further into the advice that we have for students, because I think you have a lot to say, and you've had a lot of experience in your career, and you understand also the struggles of students by being an educator for so long. What are some pieces of advice that you have? What are some mistakes that young professionals are making early in their career, for example? What have you seen so far, and what we could do about it?
Yeah. I think we've covered them. I think I'll recap, because I tried to get them, because I do think it's important. I think trying to, thinking about what you have to offer the company, like how do you help the company get better? How do you help your boss get better at his job, versus thinking, what's in it for me all the time? Like, what's in it for them? Sort of switching that mindset. Like, I remember that I was really focused on getting my first promotion at Walmart. Like, I wanted to be promoted really fast. I don't know if it was an ego thing or a pride thing, but I just browbeat the hell out of my manager. I'm like, hey, I'd like to get promoted. And I asked about it all the time. And yes, okay, I was the first one to be promoted. Great.
Do you think this strategy helped you get promoted?
The question is, to what end? Because I eventually left Walmart. My friends who took a little bit longer to get promoted are now all SVPs sitting there, right? Like there's
Wow.
like, yeah, you can talk your way into promotion. You can maybe browbeat your way in it. But was I ready actually? Like, could I accept the fact that maybe I wasn't ready from a skills point of view? I don't think I was. I was like, I just want a promotion. Like I was so focused on that, right? So maybe if I'd flipped it a little bit and thinking like, what can I do that would add the most value in this circumstance? Like, what can I do to help my boss achieve her goals? Like, what if I turn my gaze outward a little bit versus inward? Because I think the people that I see now at the top across my LinkedIn are the people who did think that way. So, what value can I add, right? That's one way I'd look at it, like in your first job, not what's in it for me, but what can I give to them?
Yeah.
That's probably your best way to job security in a lot of instances. I think the other thing is that you need to be maybe insatiably curious about your field or the job you're going into. So in a lot of instances, my perception is the first company you land at will teach you more than the university will. Don't tell them I told you that. But, school's nice and will teach you theory. And then you get in the real world and like, oh, actually, this is how it works, right?
I've seen it in my internships as well, and I can attest to that. And it's great to have the pivot point between what you're studying and then what you're actually practicing and how it looks like in a job. So I can only offer compliments to IB for having us do that by default. So this is like something that they make us do.
Yeah, no, I think the internship is like, it's like, to me, any job at the beginning of your career is basically paid school. So I would think about it. What skills do I want to learn? What am I still interested in? Where can I go and just call it paid school. It's a sort of paradigm shift or reframe of what you do, of how you look at your first job.
Yeah.
And you're building a tool, like a skill set, tools, you're building knowledge that you can use. But also, in order to start giving back quickly, you need to bring unique and new perspectives, right? And that you do by reading books, by reading articles, by genuinely being interested in what you're looking for. Like, there are problems to solve. How did other people solve these problems? What does it look like in other companies? Like, can I pull things from other interests that I have and connect it? Like that, bringing those things together is where you can add value. You also have the benefit of adding perspective from a younger generation. So you sort of, your managers are maybe in their like late 30s, early 40s, like you're coming in your 20s. So you have a couple of decades behind. You have insight into how your population uses technology, what you've grown up with, and how can a company use that to achieve their goals? Like, so you think about what you bring in there. I think that's really important. And that, the insatiable curiosity to me is like, if you're in your free time not curious and learning more about the stuff that you're doing, if you can't get yourself into a flow state, use that job to explore more about yourself, but sort of be trying to find what that little slice of flow could look like in your
so even
in your
next
life.
to the job.
In the job or next to the job, right? Are there moments where you're working where you can lose yourself? Like, do you really love planning a calendar? Or like, do you love answering your emails? Do you love checking off your to-do list? Like, what feels good for you? And I think this, in a lot of ways, it really is a gut thing, which we talk very little about in business. But it's like, if you really pay attention, like how your body's sitting, what does it feel like, do I like doing this? Like, your body will give you signals on what actually does appeal to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I think maybe the last thing is, people will help you. Like, all of us who've gone in business before know what it's like not to have a job, like be not unsure about what you're doing. We have plenty of experiential information we're happy to share. You have to ask the question, and you have to be interested. And it helps a little bit if you have a direction. So when I first moved to the Netherlands, through my husband's network, I was meeting a lot of business people, and they were like, well, what would you like to do? I didn't really have an answer. I'd been a director at TripAdvisor before we came over. I'm like, do I want to stay in travel? Do I want to do marketing? Do I want to do product marketing? Like, I don't know. So they're like, well, what could we do for you? And I'm like, I'd like to do something in business. They can't do anything with that, right?
Yeah.
The more specific you are in what it is you want to do, the more help people can give you. And if I had said, I'd really like to work for an FMCG company, well, then this guy's like, oh, I know 6 people in my network. Let me facilitate the introductions, right? So the more specificity you can give, the better. Although, to be fair, you don't have to be too specific, because my journey to this company started when I was sitting at a table with a friend of ours, a friend of my husband's from university. And I was telling her, I'm like, Maya, I love what I'm doing right now. I'm teaching storytelling, and it is the coolest thing I've ever done. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know that the rest of my career will be spent in storytelling. And she said to me, you should meet my cousin. He works in this space. He started a firm in this. And that led to the introduction of the founder of the Speech Republic, who at that point in time no longer worked here, but he introduced me to the then owner of the Speech Republic, and that's what kicked this off. But just because I could give a little more precision with storytelling, I'm not even sure what, right? I was exploring the field. The more precise you are, the more direct they can give you. This happened to be lucky, but it doesn't even have to be everything, but give people a direction to help you.
Yeah. And I'm going to go back a little bit and also give a little piece of advice as well, because you've said, try to see if there's a flow state in, studying what you like in outside of school, outside of the job. What I found really interesting for myself is looking at very old books, look into history and business history. I read some books about marketing from the 1940s and 60s, and they're super interesting about how they were doing things back then when it was billboards and everything was out-of-home advertising, and how those things could also apply today is a really interesting contrast, and it's a generator of ideas, for me at least.
Yeah. And do you see why if you go into a company and you're like, hey, do you know that in the 1940s, this billboard, like, you allow people to click information together, and that brings a ton of value versus the intern that shows up and is like, what are you guys going to teach me today? Or what do you want me to do today?
Yeah,
like that's maybe the worst question. Like,
or having it out of AI.
Or having AI, yes. And to be fair, look, I love AI as a tool.
Yeah.
Oh, I really love it as a tool. But I don't know, knowledge, I think it's sort of earned over time. Like you have to put in the work. You can't short circuit knowledge.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Furthermore, so I think this is the end of our questions. I'll just go through the RUAS agenda. So what's on the RUAS agenda for this month? We have in February, we have the events from Included, where we host 2 events. We have the Lunar New Year that's going to be at Kralingse on the 26th of February. And I think we also have the Iftar, so celebrating the Ramadan, on the next day at the Academieplein or Museumplein, I believe. We also have on Thursday, 5th of March, the Minor Fair for 2026. And that's going to be at Kralingse for people that are going to have minors next year. And the last thing, and very interesting, we have on the 28th of March, the open day for RUAS that's going to be at Kralingse. So for anyone that has any cousins, any family, any brothers that would like to check out our campus and our offerings for school, they can absolutely do it on the 28th of March. As a closing, thank you so much for this conversation. I think it's very, very insightful, and it's going to be very useful for the people listening and also for me. I'm really glad that we got to have this chat. I'm going to extend our thanks to the Creative Court, which is the company that helped us make the poster or promotional poster, and also to the Speech Republic. And thank you, Nicole, as the new proud manager, owner of it, for providing us with this beautiful space and also with this conversation. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
And thank you so much for tuning in and listening. We will be back with more beautiful episodes, and hopefully, as you said, provide people with something, leave them with some value. Yes, thank you so much, and have a great one.